Hello, YouTube. Today I'm going to talk about CM Punk's epic rant that he did on Raw and the big debate on whether it was real or scripted. Now, I'm going to come out on the side that it was scripted, and I'm fairly confident in this. I mean, I would say I'm like 99% confident that it's scripted. Now, you might be like, that's a bit arrogant. There's a lot of people that think it's real. I've met people in real life who think it's real. But the vast majority of my close friends do think it's scripted as well as I do. And here's some of the rationale as to why I came to the conclusion pretty quickly that it was scripted, even though it was epic. And I guess I'll go ahead and just jump in and explain why. Well, if you look at the speech itself, the first sign that it's not just off the wall random speech that he decided to give on a whim was the fact that it was rehearsed. The way we know it's rehearsed is that there was no filler words in the speech. The speech was very fluid, very consistent. He didn't repeat himself. No awkward pauses, no ums like I just did there. No, just no reiteration, no messing up. So it came out really smooth. There's a lot of content he covered, a lot of different ideas. He went very fluidly through them without much hiccups, much bumps, much even just awkward changes in tone or just anything. So it was clearly rehearsed. But rehearsed doesn't mean scripted. I would argue that rehearsed suggests scripted because I would think the majority of scripted material is rehearsed. And I think if you looked at just the group of rehearsed content on Raw especially, I would think that a higher percentage of rehearsed content is scripted versus just free spoken content. So if you just look at the percentages, I would think there'd be a greater weighting towards if it was rehearsed, then likely it was a scripted section. But anyway, I don't think that's enough to prove that it was scripted, but I think being rehearsed suggests it definitely wasn't, at least we can say, off the wall. So what really hammers it in that it was a scripted piece of work approved by WWE as opposed to just whatever he wanted to say? Well, if you look at where they cut the speech and how long they let the speech go on for, it's kind of clear to someone who's kind of looking for it, I guess, that they could have cut it way earlier. I mean, it was a 3+ minute speech, and they just let it keep going on and on and on and on. And if he was really bashing WWE so bad, they would have cut it way earlier. If they're like, what's he doing? This is not what we want. Like, this is not part of the script. He's not supposed to be doing this. They would have cut it way earlier. And in addition, when they re-aired it on TV, they wouldn't have included that speech. Also, another thing is the people seeing it on TV. You could argue, well, maybe it was a slip up and the people there in the audience got to hear it. But the people on TV watching it through the television, there's a delay, so they even have more time to realize that, hey, this is not what we want him to say, and go ahead and cut it. So the people on TV shouldn't have saw hardly any of it. Yeah, and if you look at where it's cut off, it's cut off right in a transition to a new idea. Like, he just goes off onto talking about how he thinks about Vince McMahon's no bullying stuff, and then they cut it off right there. So they let him complete his entire idea, his entire message, and then cut it off, which is another red flag to any viewer that this is scripted, right? They wanted to let him complete his thought, his idea, before cutting him off. So, and that's kind of odd if you don't care for what he's saying or you don't want that aired. So that's another sign that it's scripted. Uh, another observation you can make is that since they ran with that as their main storyline, as their new little big event that happened, that's really odd and kind of raises, your eyebrows a bit as to what was going on there. And it's not just that. It's not just they took that and ran with it, but it's the fact that where was the backup story? If that wasn't supposed to be their main, like, big twist of events happening in Raw, like, if that wasn't expected or planned, where was their planned material? Where was that build up? Like, what was supposed to be going on? Like, where was the setup for all of that? And, what happened to that arc? Unless this was the twist. There wasn't anything else planned because this was the plan. And the fact that there is absent evidence from what I watched of another story arc or another route kind of being put out there suggests to me that this was actually scripted and this is what they wanted. So let's see if I can think of... I know there's a bunch of other points as well. Let me see if I can recall them here. So, okay, yeah. Here's another point. It's not just where they cut it off. It's not the fact that they let it go on for 3 minutes, and it's not the fact that they used it as their main story arc, even though I think those are all really good arguments for why it's scripted. But in addition, if you listen to his speech, he actually, in a sense, talks up the show. Like, he's like, when I'm leaving, at least I'm leaving with the belt. So he's like promoting the belt as still like something cool and something to be wanted. When really, if you're done with the show and you could care less about them, and have like no like interest in them anymore, you'll be like, screw this show. It's all fake and scripted. No, it doesn't take any talent to do anything. It's just, who knows who, and yeah, all the wrestling's fake, and this belt, winning it doesn't mean anything, and all it means is that you were scripted to win it. That would be the kind of, like, comments you'd expect to see with someone who's done with the show and doesn't care anymore. And that's not what you saw. He's just like talking up the belt, talking up WrestleMania, how he wants to be in it. He talked up John Cena, for those who caught that, where he was like, John Cena may not be the best wrestler because he's the best wrestler, so he claims. But he's actually a really good guy. I talked to him in the back room. He's a really nice guy, and I respect him. Yada yada, or whatever all he said about John Cena. So basically, he was talking up John Cena, even though it was a little subtle. He said he's a good person, and talked up the belt, talked up WrestleMania, how he wished he was there, part of it, all this stuff. And it really kind of fit into what wrestling would want. And at the same time, he just maintained his overall heel status, yelled at the crowd, made fun of the crowd, made fun of everything else, talked up the show in some subtle ways, talked up Cena in some, little comments here and there. And and then he left. So I feel like he said exactly what they would have wanted him to say. And so that's that. I think the message was WWE, it had some pro WWE comments in it. It fit in with where the direction they want to go with the thing, with the story. And that was what they used as their main story. So tell me what you guys think. You can rewatch any part of this to kind of go through all the reasons again, but there are a lot of very solid reasons that highly suggest that this was scripted. I think the fact that it was re-aired and that it let it go on for 3+ minutes of rant on what he said, is the real nails in the coffin for this, that it was indeed scripted for those wondering, even with the whole suspension deal and with all the thing they're doing to make it seem not scripted, as far as I'm concerned, it was clearly scripted. And hopefully, after you've watched this video, even if you're a wrestling fan, it is kind of sad because you want it to be real, like in some aspects. But I mean, I still think it was a great piece of literature, great work. But nonetheless, I do feel it was scripted. And I guess my closing thoughts on this matter is, while I believe 100% that it was scripted, it was still awesome. And I wouldn't be surprised if some of the things he said, were what he wanted to say, and he may have even okayed it with WWE. Like, can I say this? And they're like, okay, yeah, that fits in with what we want. Just make sure you add something about this, this, and this, and whatever. And they went back and forth. He eventually got a speech that was okay to both parties, and worked for a killer event. And I think it worked really well for him. It was widely popular. Anyway, thanks for watching this. Please comment and give me any feedback you want, whether it's the video quality. I'm trying to think about getting a new camera here, how good that is, and just anything you want to talk about. I'd be more than willing to try to reply and read all the comments. And thanks for watching. Have a good one.